Hello managers! Before we start this lesson module, let's quickly talk about the course objectives. Firstly, we'll set out the NDIS compliance requirements so that you'll know exactly what's expected. The course handbook will be a great reference on the level of compliance. It also explains the quality management techniques, it's got projects to get you started, and lists the relevant capability framework descriptors so that you can see what the techniques aim to achieve. Our second aim is to show how quality techniques can make your work more efficient and effective. They're simple ideas, but getting used to them may take you some practice. But you'll soon see that they can reduce the stress that comes with frontline management. And that's a major theme we'll explore throughout the course, starting with this lesson module in the course handbook. Okay, on that note, let's get into thinking about what it takes to be a good leader in the NDIS. We'll start by looking at the relevant capabilities in the NDIS Worker Capability Framework. We'll want to know whether quality management fits into leadership or if it's an add-on, something extra to the real work of leadership. We talk about quality management as a conversation, a way of moving information around, a way of getting everyone involved to think together as an organisation. I want you to remember that. Quality as a special kind of conversation, because we'll see if the capability framework promotes that conversation, and if it does, what does it look like? The framework mentions 4 core capabilities for managers. They seem like quite a mixed bag. One talks about values, one about consistent good practice, one about risk management, and one about workforce capability. Let's take a closer look. The first capability is titled Model and Reinforce Values in Organisational Culture and Practice. It's got 6 descriptors. In the first 3, managers lead the way, setting an example, using the framework to guide workers, and building a culture of mutual respect and rights. The final 3 descriptors are about inclusiveness, recognising and empowering people with diverse experience. Now, on the one hand, this capability suggests that leadership is about having an influence, either by setting an example to follow or helping people understand in other ways. On the other hand, it's also about including everyone and learning from diverse experiences. So there does seem to be a conversation which aims to achieve certain values: mutual respect, promotion of rights, and inclusivity. The next core capability is called Promote Quality through Consistent Good Practice, which seems to say that good practice leads to quality and not the other way around. And of course that makes sense. Just keep doing a good job and quality, well, it'll take care of itself. But the descriptors tell us that a manager's role is to build workers' capacity by providing guidance, creating opportunities to learn from others, to independently gather data and access the information they need. Now, the information here includes direct discussion, coaching, and research, along with the skills to solve problems and identify needs and outcomes. It's about supporting workers to identify, report, and discuss. But how do we make sure practice is good and consistent? We'd need some sort of process to monitor delivery methods and outcomes. We'd need guides to help the less experienced workers and feedback mechanisms to learn from those with particular expertise. So you see where this is going? We've just invented quality management, and it looks awfully like a conversation. The third capability is Support Health and Manage Risk. So it's clearly linked to quality management through risk management, one of the processes we'll be discussing in the course. Managers must be able to identify risk across the service area, and 7 of the 8 descriptors are devoted to helping workers understand, identify, report, and monitor risks, And that includes understanding and implementing the feedback and complaints mechanism and risk management policy. The final capability, foster and develop a capable workforce. This focuses on managing a team, making sure participant needs and preferences are met, monitoring worker performance, and including risk when considering staffing and scheduling. And once again, there's a strong emphasis on understanding and two-way communication, from self-reflection and self-development to supervision and training. So we've found that all four management capabilities are really strongly tied to quality as we're defining it, as a conversation that moves important information around. We use the word conversation because it's familiar, but throughout this course, we'll show that this isn't an ordinary conversation. If you're chatting with an old friend over coffee, you probably won't be managing the conversation. Well, maybe not so much. A conversation, though, involving lots of people with different backgrounds over a long period of time, about multiple topics, with different people taking the lead, well, that you need to manage. And hopefully, as people become more familiar with the process, the conversation will need less and less management. And that's why we also use another word here, culture. Culture is about how we put values and expectations into action. It makes things seem so natural and necessary that it can be difficult to detect. It becomes part of us, like being left-handed or driving on the left-hand side of the road. Over a long time, the community sector has developed its own way of doing things called a person-directed culture. When community sector culture clashes with the regular business culture, it can be unsettling, like driving in another country. As a frontline manager, you're tasked with bringing people across the cultural divide, including them in the conversation, showing them what the community sector expects, helping them to understand the values and to put them into action. Because the community sector culture might be unfamiliar to them, people might even need help to understand what inclusion means, how to act, and how to engage in the conversation. You'll need to find a way to make inclusion the norm. You need a common language, and you need ways to find out what others need to know so that you can send the information in the right direction. How do we do that? Well, in the community sector, we use quality management. It has tools that provoke inquiry, gather and organise information, help conduct evaluations and make decisions, commit things to memory, and prompt people to remember. Some tools make sure that everyone can join the conversation and will be treated respectfully when they do. Overall, they're designed to pass the culture on and keep it alive. So we also talk about a quality culture. And of course, the tools only work well if they're used well. So let's pretend for a second that NDIS providers weren't required to use quality management techniques. Is there another way they could promote this culture? Well, possibly, but it would have to ensure that the NDIS objectives are reached, and that means it'd have to be a deliberate, strategy-based system. It would include strategies that help things go well and prevent things from going wrong. It would have to produce some kind of evidence so that organisations could monitor their progress towards meeting the objectives. And it would also have to include some sort of system to meet the shortfall by improving the strategies or delivery methods. In short, it would have to do all of the things that quality management does. So in this video lesson, we've asked if quality management is relevant to your work as frontline managers. We've looked at the NDIS Capability Framework because it addresses disability sector practice and frontline management in particular. At first glance, we can see that quality is strongly linked to practice. We'll explore that more in depth throughout the course. The course handbook chapter for this lesson module revisits the capability framework to examine the idea that leaders should promote the well-being of their staff and prevent burnout. Can quality management help reduce stress? Well, the answer is yes, it can if it's done right. And doing it right can depend on things out of your control, so we offer some strategies for getting started regardless. Throughout this course, we emphasise developing strategies that save time and maximise returns on the effort you put in. If the strategies we suggest don't fit your organisation or supports, we hope they'll inspire you to develop your own. So check out the handbook, complete the projects, and join me again in the next video.